faith-driven entrepreneurs to really do what they want to do, and which is stewardship, which is to do the best with what God has given them, have to understand what God has given them. And he is giving them gifts. He is giving each of us gifts. And he's also giving us limitations. None of us have all the gifts. We need each other, the body of Christ. And Christ himself is the only one who had every gift. And so he gives us unique gifts. And if we don't understand those, we don't know how to use them and put them at his disposal. So I think that's so critical that a faith-driven entrepreneur needs to understand. And there's other benefits to it too that we'll get into. But here are the 6 types of working genius. And these are the God-given talents as they relate to the specific tasks of getting work done. So they're not Myers-Briggs, which I love, and DISC and all those other things. This is really not about your personality, but it's about what you're naturally gifted with when it comes to getting work done, which could be launching a product or starting a business or planning a family vacation or initiating a new program in your church or your business. When it comes to getting work done, there's 6 gifts that are required. Each of us has 2 that are geniuses that we love, that give us energy and joy and passion. Those are our geniuses. There's 2 that we can do, but not for a long, long period of time. We call those working competencies. We can do them. They don't feed us. And then there's 2 that we call working frustrations, which really rob us of our joy. And so no one can do it all together without others. So here's the 6 types of working genius. First, there's the genius of wonder. This is the first on any kind of work. It's the genius, the gift of pondering and noticing and reflecting and contemplating and asking the question, why? Is this good enough? Is there more here? Is there something wrong? Could we do better? Most people don't think of this as a genius at all. In fact, many people see it as something they've been criticized in their life for. It's like, how come you're not coming along with us? It's like there are some people in life who are gifted by God with the ability to sit in ambiguity and ask questions and notice things. And every piece of work begins with the genius of wonder. This whole product, this whole tool that we developed around Working Genius, which came about by accident, started because one of my co-founders, a woman, after working with me for 24 years, said, why are you like the way you are? Why do you get frustrated sometimes? And why do you seem so excited sometimes? And how come that can happen within a period of 15 minutes? And she didn't know the answer. She just said, I want to know why you are the way you are. And that led me to my working genius, which is the next one after wonder, comes the working genius of invention. So that's the person who takes that question, that issue, that possibility, and says, I want to solve it. I want to come up with a unique way of seeing things. God gave me this gift. It's been in my heart my whole life. I've not always been able to exercise it, but I cannot help but want to invent new ways of doing things. And I know that's a gift because I want to do it even when it's not called for, because that's the thing. It feeds me. And there are times in life where I have to set that gift aside and say, this is a gift from God, but on this project, in this moment, it's not being called for. So, but it's something I do naturally. It's something I almost can't help do. It gives me joy. It gives me energy. And what a beautiful thing when I'm allowed to use that gift from God. So it goes wonder first, invention next. But that's not enough, because not everything I invent or somebody invents is actually good or ready, which leads us to the next working genius, which is the genius of discernment. Now, in the faith world, we think of discernment as discerning the Holy Spirit and the God's call to us. This is a little different, I think, and that is the ability to have gut feel, to be an integrative thinker, to have instinct and intuition. And some people God has given this ability to see patterns and to have a gut feel. And you can go to them even when they don't have expertise and say, what do you think I should do? There's a woman in my office named Tracy who has the gift of discernment. And we can say to her, I think I'm going to buy a house, Tracy. Is this a good idea? She's not an expert on finance or in real estate. She just sees things and says, I think it sounds like a great idea. And we talk about it and she just has this confidence. Or she could say, I don't think this is what you want to be doing right now. Or I think there's some issues here that you still have to work out. And Everyone, my wife will say, I'll be on my way to work and she'll say, oh, ask Tracy if we should do that as a family. Because we just know that Tracy, God has given her the ability to think in patterns and see things not in a linear way. So like I had a friend once who had a deep knowledge of the Bible and he worked in ministry, and he does not have discernment in this way. And he'd say, but people come to me and ask me about faith matters, and I think I'm good at discerning, but it's because he's an expert. He's steeped in the Bible. So he knows how to bring things out. But if you ask him about something that he's not an expert in, he really struggles with judgment, intuition, and instinct. And he finally realized, I don't have the genius of discernment. So the discerner works with the inventor to make sure the idea is flushed out, that problems are solved, that the bad ideas are rejected and the good ones are accepted. And that leads us to the fourth genius, which is the genius of galvanizing. The genius of galvanizing is that person who just can't help but get people excited. They want to go tell the world. They want to inspire. They want to move people. They want to recruit them and say, everybody, this is a great idea. In my organization, by the way, I am not naturally a galvanizer. That's not one of my geniuses. For more than 20 years, I was the chief galvanizing officer in my company, and it was driving me crazy. Almost everyone else in my organization had galvanizing as one of their frustrations. And since it was a competency of mine, I was finding myself doing it every day, and it was crushing me. I discovered that in my organization, there's a guy that loves to galvanize. He loves to. He wanted to. It wasn't part of his job. We discovered that God had given him the gift of galvanizing. He is now the chief galvanizing officer. I can sit back and watch him galvanize people. That doesn't mean I don't have to do it sometimes, because I do. And sometimes I have to galvanize him, but he gets to do it most of the time because we need it. And now he is using the gift that God gave him and allowing me to use the gifts that God gave me. So that's how this whole model came about, is that I was being crushed by something that wasn't a gift. And now we've allowed somebody else to do that. But galvanizing is not enough. We need yet another two geniuses. The next one is the geniuses of what we call enablement. Now, a lot of people recoil at this. They think that sounds like enabling an alcoholic or somebody with a drug addiction. It's like, no, enablement is good when you're enabling something to lift off the ground. The galvanizer says, hey, everybody, this is a great idea. This model, the working genius, when Cody, the guy that's the galvanizer, heard about it and saw how excited we were and understood it, he said, this is going to be bigger than anything we've done. He said, Pat, I know we've done the 5 dysfunctions of a team, but he said, this will be bigger than that. And you know what happened? All the people in my organization that have the genius of enablement, because they're the ones that know how to help get stuff going, they all responded and said, what can we do? Or I know what we can do. I will help. This is absolutely a God-given genius, but people that have the genius of enablement, they usually don't see it as a genius. They just think, I'm nice, I'm helpful, or maybe I'm even a pushover. You think of Martha and Mary in the Bible, I think it was Martha was running around waiting on people. She probably had the genius of enablement, but it's not the only genius. And perhaps Mary had the genius of discernment, and she realized what Jesus was saying and she just sat at his feet. But the point is, this is a God-given genius to support others in their need in exactly the way they need. The genius of enablement is not the last one, though. The last genius, where all work ultimately ends up, is the genius of tenacity. The genius of tenacity is, I like to finish things. There are people that wake up every day. I don't understand them because I do not have this one at all. In the past, I referred to these people as freaks. They love to get things done. They cross things off lists. They push things across the finish line. They feel energy from finalizing things, holding them to high standards, and making sure it has an impact at the end of the day, where I'm tempted to move on to the next invention. These are people that get up out of bed in the morning and say, please give me a list of things and let me cross them off and make sure they're great. I need those people. We all need those people. So the 6 types of working genius are wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, and tenacity. And the beauty of this is I did not come up with this. It was revealed to me in my own weakness and frustration. And yet, since we launched this less than a year ago, less than a year ago. It was just in the fall of 2020, in the late fall. We have had so many people come to us and say, this explains everything in my work. We've had pastors come and say, I never had the genius of wonder and invention, and so I couldn't write good sermons, and I thought I was a failure. I have the genius of enablement, so I love to counsel people. And I would struggle with my sermons, and now I know that I just need others with a different genius of mine. We've had people say, one guy said, I thought my wife hated me. And he laughed and he said, maybe not hated, but every time I came up with an idea, she would critique me. And we on their anniversary, they took this assessment, and he said it was the best anniversary gift ever, because he said, she has a genius of discernment. I have the genius of invention. She's actually helping me figure out the best part of my ideas. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She was trying to help me. And we never had language for that. So it is a joy to watch people discover that their geniuses are actually something to embrace, and that they can let go of guilt and judgment of others. Because now, as St. Francis of Assisi said, I can seek to understand, not just to be understood. So that was a long answer to one question. It's so hard for me to answer these questions in short sound bites because it tells a whole story. And I have never been more excited about anything I've been involved in.